Pay close attention. You open your eyes, the ceiling stares back, and before your feet even touch the floor, the battle for your entire day has already been won or lost. Most people mistake reacting for living. Alarm rings, they flinch. Phone buzzes, they answer. A problem appears, they panic. They call this being awake. But the ancient Stoics had another word for it: sleepwalking with your eyes open. Marcus Aurelius, ruler of an empire, commander of legions, the most powerful man on earth, fought the same war you're fighting right now. Not against foreign armies, against the warm blankets, against the whisper to stay down. In his private diary, never meant for the world to see, he wrote, "At dawn, when you struggle to rise, tell yourself, I am getting up to do the work of a human being." Even he had to convince himself. The throne doesn't make you immune to inertia. Nothing does. So here is what I'm giving you today. 7 phrases. But not gentle affirmations, not decorative quotes for your mirror. These are 7 psychological tools, forged in the fire of Stoic discipline, tested through slavery, exile, war, and grief. If you speak them every morning and truly understand them, they won't just improve your mood. They will dismantle the person you were and rebuild the person you were meant to become. But you need to stay with me, because behind each phrase lies a system of thought that took the greatest minds in history a lifetime to master. I'm condensing it into a single sitting. Settle in. Why the morning is a war zone. Before we get to the 7 weapons, you have to see the battlefield clearly. The morning is not a gentle beginning. It is a negotiation. Have you ever noticed how many decisions you make before you even stand up? 2 forces clash inside you every single day. The first is gravity, the pull of your old self, your habits. The version of you that wants to stay small. It whispers, rest, it can wait, you're fine as you are. The second is excellence, the part of you that knows comfort is slowly killing your potential. Epictetus, born in chains, rose to become one of history's greatest teachers. He told his students that philosophy begins the moment you open your eyes. Not later, not after coffee. He said, first decide what you want to be, then do what you must to become it. Notice what comes first, not action, identity. Read it again slower. I decide how I respond. Nothing outside me has power unless I give it. This isn't a comforting thought. It's a radical accusation, because it means every time you've felt offended, enraged, victimized, or powerless, that reaction wasn't done to you. It was written by you. Does that feel harsh? Good. Because if you don't declare who you are, the world will declare it for you. Now I hear the skeptic. You're thinking, this sounds like magical thinking. Words don't change reality. Fair point. Let me answer it directly. The Stoics weren't mystics. They were engineers of the mind. And modern neuroscience has proven what they knew intuitively. The first 20 minutes after waking are a neurological golden hour. Your brain is drifting from theta waves, drowsy and dreamlike, into alpha, calm, receptive, and programmable. In that window, your internal critic, the filter that rejects uncomfortable ideas, is asleep at the post. What you feed your mind in this slot doesn't just affect your mood. It rewires your neural pathways. The thoughts you repeat become the roads your brain defaults to. The Stoics called this prosousia, radical attention to yourself. Marcus used journaling. Epictetus used morning speech. Seneca used letters. They weren't doing it because it felt nice. They were doing it because it worked. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Line 1, I decide how I respond. Nothing outside me has power unless I give it. Let me be careful. The Stoics never said feelings are wrong. Marcus Aurelius wept when his children died. Seneca sobbed at funerals. Epictetus felt the chain on his leg. They weren't robots, but they made one surgical distinction between the impression, what happens, and the assent, what you add to it. Epictetus said, men are disturbed not by events, but by their opinions about events. Imagine someone insults you. That's the impression. Then your mind spins a story. They're disrespecting me. I'm being attacked. That's the assent. The Stoic asks, can you separate the raw event from the story? Marcus, surrounded by betrayers, cowards and schemers, wrote to himself, "When you wake, tell yourself that today you will meet meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest people." He wasn't being pessimistic. He was pre-arming. He knew surprise is the mother of overreaction. He adds, "But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and I know the wrongdoer shares my nature." He doesn't just suppress anger. He transforms it into understanding. When you say line 1, don't rush. Sit for 60 seconds. Think of the person who triggers you most. Feel the old reaction rising. Then say it again. I am the author, not the victim. Line 2, my attention is my most valuable currency. I will spend it like a miser. We obsess over time. But the Stoics saw deeper. You can have all the time in the world and still waste your life if you can't control where your mind goes. Attention comes first, because a life isn't measured in hours. It's measured in what you thought about during those hours. Seneca wrote the most devastating critique of distraction ever penned. It is not that we have little time, but that we waste much. Life is long enough if invested well. That was 2,000 years before smartphones, before billion-dollar algorithms designed to hijack your first waking moments. If Seneca was alarmed by Roman gossip, what would he say about your morning scroll? Here's what most people miss. Attention is not neutral. It is formative. What you repeatedly stare at becomes your character. Marcus writes, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Not metaphor, philosophy. You become what you consistently think about. You are not what you think you are. You are what you think. If you wake to outrage, your soul stains red with anxiety. If you wake to gossip, it stains petty. If you wake to shallow distraction, your depth atrophies. But if you wake to deliberate reflection, directing your mind before the world does, your soul slowly absorbs strength. The Stoics called your mind's executive center the hegemonikon, the part that can step back from impulse and choose. Epictetus said the whole point of philosophy is to strengthen this faculty. You train it every morning by deciding deliberately what you attend to first. There is a war on your attention. The battlefield is your skull. Guard the gate before the siege begins. Line 3, I choose the hard path before it chooses me. I was not made for ease. I was made for growth. This is the line people hate, because it asks something most routines never demand. Seek discomfort before it finds you. Why would anyone do that? The Stoics practiced ascesis, deliberate hardship. Seneca would eat stale bread and wear rough cloth for days. Not because he was poor, he was one of Rome's richest men. As training, he'd say to himself, "Is this what I feared? This?" He was rehearsing difficulty, proving to himself voluntarily that he could handle far more than comfort had led him to believe. Why does this matter? Because the modern world has forgotten something critical. Comfort as a goal is philosophical poison. Not rest, not warmth, but the obsession with removing every friction. The more you optimize for ease, the more terrifying difficulty becomes. Avoid hard conversations. They get harder. Quit when things get tough. Quitting becomes your reflex. Slowly, comfort shrinks your world until you can only handle what's easy. And a person who only handles what's easy is a slave to the unpredictable world. Marcus Aurelius catches himself wanting to stay in bed, the most powerful man alive. And he writes, "Is it your job to lounge under blankets or to act? Look at the ants, the bees, the spiders. They all do their work. Are you unwilling to do yours?" He understood the pull toward ease isn't laziness, it's a philosophical failure. The best version of you lives outside your comfort zone. When you say line 3, name one hard thing you've been avoiding. One conversation, one discipline, one truth. Take one step toward it today, not 10 steps, one, because every voluntary difficulty is a vote for the person you are becoming. Line 4, right now is sufficient. I let go of yesterday and refuse to borrow tomorrow's fear. We've talked about control and attention. Now we talk about time, not productivity, your actual relationship with past and future. The Stoics diagnosed human suffering precisely. We drag the corpse of the past and we flinch at ghosts of the future. Regret and anxiety, Two thieves robbing the only moment that actually exists. Epictetus said, "Never let the future disturb you. You'll meet it with the same weapons that arm you today." Marcus was even sharper. Confine yourself to the present. Here's a staggering fact. Psychological research shows the human mind is wandering from the present moment. Nearly 47% of waking hours. Half your life is lived in moments that don't exist. The Stoics wouldn't be surprised. They built a practice around prosos, full awareness of now, not as mysticism, because virtue can only be practiced in the present. You can't be courageous in a memory. You can't be wise in a hypothetical. You can only act right now. Now, a dark-sounding word that is actually liberating. Memento mori, remember you will die. The Stoics kept this close not to depress themselves, but to wake themselves up. Marcus writes, "Live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense. When you truly feel that this morning, right now, will never come again, the past loosens its grip. The future drops its terror." Seneca writes that time is the only thing we truly own, and yet we give it away more carelessly than anything else. To distractions, to worries, to other people's emergencies. When you say line 4, take 3 breaths. First breath, release yesterday's regret. Second breath, release tomorrow's worry. Third breath, arrive here. Feel the weight of your body, the air on your skin. You are alive. This is enough. Line 5, my job is not to be comfortable. My job is to be useful. We've reached the dividing line. Because this asks the question most people dodge their whole lives. What am I actually for? The Stoics had a concept called oikeiosis, the expansion of what you consider yours. First, your body, then your family, then your community, then all of humanity. Marcus Aurelius, who could have lived for pleasure, writes, "What hurts the hive hurts the bee," and "We were born to work together, like hands, feet, eyelids." He writes, "A man's life is a moment, his perception dim. What guides him? One thing only, philosophy." And philosophy's final lesson? You are not the center of the story. Here's the counterintuitive discovery. The more you chase your own happiness, the less of it you find. The more you focus on contribution, doing excellent work for something larger, the more contentment arrives uninvited. This isn't a paradox, it's logic. The Stoics defined eudaimonia not as a feeling, but as a way of functioning. You flourish when you function fully, using reason, living values, serving the whole. Consider Epictetus again, a slave. His master twisted his leg for fun. Epictetus said calmly, "You will break it." It broke. He said, "I told you so." Later freed, he became a teacher so respected that emperors sent their sons. What would it mean for a man who was legally property to center his life on comfort? Impossible. Epictetus knew that comfort isn't in your control. Only character is, only contribution is. When you say line 5, ask, who am I serving today? Not in a grand way, a colleague, a family member. The work you do with genuine care. Name it, orient toward it. Line 6, everything I love is on loan. I will hold it gently. This is the hardest line, because it touches the thing we most want to ignore, loss. The Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, premeditation of evils. Every morning, deliberately imagine losing what you love, your health, your people, your life. This sounds morbid to modern ears. We're told to manifest and think positive. But the Stoics argued that refusing to contemplate loss makes you brittle. When you never imagine losing something, you start believing it's permanent. You take it for granted, and when it's taken, as everything eventually is, you shatter. Not because the loss is unbearable, but because you never prepared philosophically. Marcus Aurelius had 13 children. Most died young. He lost them to disease and fate. Yet his meditations, written in a war tent, surrounded by plague and betrayal, breathe tranquility. He writes, "Loss is nothing but change, and change is nature's delight." He also says, "Love the people fate brings you with all your heart." Notice, with all your heart. This isn't detachment. It's the courage to love fully knowing the condition of loss. Epictetus gave a chilling exercise. When you kiss your child goodnight, Whisper to yourself, tomorrow you may die. When you embrace your partner, whisper, tomorrow you may be gone. Terrifying? Yes, but here's the result. The person who truly knows their child could be gone tomorrow does not take the bedtime kiss for granted. They are fully present. The awareness of impermanence is not the enemy of love. It is its deepest fuel. When you say line 6, name 3 things you've been taking for granted. A person, your health, a capacity, feel their potential absence. Then go toward them today with more gratitude than you would have brought. This is not pessimism. This is the deepest form of love. Line 7. I do not merely accept what happens. I embrace it. We've reached the summit. Amor fati, the love of fate. Not tolerance, not endurance. Love. Can you really love the thing that hurts you? Marcus writes, a blazing fire turns everything thrown into it into flame and brightness. That's the quality of character he's describing. Not I can handle this, but I will use this. I will transform this into fuel. Nietzsche later coined the phrase amor fati, but the idea is pure Stoic. My formula for greatness is to want nothing to be different. Not forward, not backward, but to love what is necessary. Marcus gives the most practical line ever written. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every obstacle contains the specific material needed to build the version of you that couldn't have been built any other way. Betrayal teaches discernment. Failure teaches humility. Loss teaches presence. Hardship teaches strength you cannot develop in comfort. There is no path to your best self that is frictionless. Amor fati is not fatalism. It's not whatever happens is fine. It means whatever has happened is now the raw material, and I will work with it completely without reservation. The runner who twists an ankle can rage, or they can say, this is my reality today. What is the finest thing I can build from it? The Stoic chooses the second, not as a coping trick, as a commitment to wring every drop of excellence from every circumstance. Epictetus, the slave, built a philosophy of total inner freedom from chains. He didn't hate his condition, he used it. He wrote, seek not for events to happen as you wish. Wish for events to happen as they do, and you will have peace. That's amor fati from a man who had every right to curse fate. He loved it because it made him who he was. When you say line 7, think of the hardest thing in your life right now. Don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this making me capable of? Find that answer. Love the transformation. Here are your 7 lines assembled as a morning practice. Say each one deliberately, not fast. Take 30 to 60 seconds per line. Think it. Feel it. Mean it. Line 1, I decide how I respond. Nothing outside me has power unless I give it. Line 2, my attention is my most valuable currency. I will spend it like a miser. Line 3, I choose the hard path before it chooses me. I was not made for ease. I was made for growth. Line 4, right now is sufficient. I let go of yesterday and refuse to borrow tomorrow's fear. Line 5, my job is not to be comfortable. My job is to be useful. Line 6, everything I love is on loan. I will hold it gently. Line 7, I do not merely accept what happens. I embrace it. Here's what will happen if you actually do this. Not for a week, for months, years. The things that used to devastate you will stop devastating you. Not because hard things stop happening. They won't. But because you have trained every morning to respond instead of react, to direct instead of drift, to face difficulty as a practitioner, not a victim. The people who seem unshakable, they aren't born that way. They are unshakable by practice. They have said words like these every morning until the words became beliefs. The beliefs became instincts, and the instincts became character. Marcus Aurelius was not born calm. He built it one morning at a time. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's what these 7 lines are building. Not a mood, a character. Not who you were when you woke up. Who you can become if you never stop choosing. Marcus Aurelius, 2,000 years ago in a tent, wrote one final instruction for himself. It applies to you right now. Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. If this morning practice shifted something in you, even slightly, hit like, because when you do, you're telling the algorithm that wisdom still matters here on Winds of Thought. Share this with someone who's fighting their own morning war. As Seneca wrote, philosophy promises common sense, humanity, and fellowship. We are in this together. See you in the next one.